With the final Dawn Trail Relic update only about a week away, I'm sure a lot of you will be looking to get ready for the new zone, as well as wanting to get your tomes to actually start completing your relics. It's the same for me, and I'm excited for the new Fork Tower raid as well as the new Phantom jobs coming out, so I thought I'd make a catch-up guide if you're still progressing the relic or zone, or want to start before the new stuff arrives. Now, if you're starting from the very beginning, you'll want to pick up the quest One Last Hurrah found here in Tuliolao, and progress through the questline until you finish Unfamiliar Territory to unlock the Occult Crescent South Horn. Speak with Jeffroy to head inside and you'll find a large zone with regularly spawning fates and critical engagements, CEs. The latter are timed fights that accept as many players as possible that are within the glowing blue circle where they spawn on the map. As well as this, you'll get the ability to use Phantom jobs, which have their own XP levels and unique actions, as well as your knowledge level, which is your own XP level within the instance. I'll talk about Phantom jobs more later, but the knowledge level only has a couple of uses. Firstly, enemies within the zone each have a knowledge level, and if yours is higher than the enemies, it will stop aggroing on you unless attacked. Enemies with an equal or higher level, however, will aggro as usual based on sight or whatever the enemy's aggro type is. Additionally, the higher level enemies will deal more damage to you, with those of about 4 levels higher usually one-shotting non-tank jobs. Unlike Bozja or Eureka, the zone is fully accessible from the start, barring dangerous enemies prowling all over, so make sure to pick up the Aetheryte shards for quick access around the map. Inside the duty, make sure to complete the blue quest up till Creatures of the Crescent so you can explore the zone, but before attempting any fates, head back out and accept the Arcane Artistry quest from Lidaseal on the other side of the Phantom Village. This is the first relic step, and in my opinion the most tedious, but thankfully is a one-time step. You'll be required to collect 3 of each of the 6 different types of demi-armor, each obtained from either fates and critical engagements inside the South Horn, or from fates and Dawn Trail overworld zones. Frankly, the drop rate for these gummy looking objects is terrible, but encourages grinding within the zone to level up your knowledge level and Phantom jobs. The drop rate is approximately 20% from critical engagements and 5% from every other option. On this map of the zone we can see the areas in which each one can be obtained, as well as the individual fights that do so. Now, one thing you may notice is that the amount of CEs in each section varies, and because of this I recommend the following for collecting demi-armor. For the most part, stay inside South Horn so that you can get knowledge and Phantom XP, and once you're satisfied with your progress, probably once you reach the level cap of 20 if you haven't got all your armor, I would head out and target farm the remaining demi-armor through fates. Here's a list of areas for each armor. Personally, I found Verdigris the most skewed within the South Horn, as the only CE within its area needs to be manually spawned, and has a cooldown. Additionally, for a later relic step you'll preferably want 600 bicolor gemstones, to avoid a moderate gil cost, so doing some fates can help with that. After completing your demi-armor, the next quest will ask you to collect 3 Arcanite, which simply requires, at the time of the video, 1500 tomestones of mathematics. This is a common factor when purchasing the relics following the one-time steps, so keep doing your roulettes if you want to keep farming them. The next step will be during the quest Keeping the Old Ways Alive, and this will require you to collect these 5 items. The Runic Glue can be purchased from Goplu and Tuliolao here, and the Utomu Siderite can be purchased from Ral Waruk in Yaktel here. This item is the one that requires the 600 bicolor gemstones from before, but if you don't have them, it can be purchased from another player on the market board. The synthetic dark matter items require master recipes for various crafters, and I recommend purchasing these on the market board if you have the gil to spare. In my experience they have been quite cheap to purchase, around 50k gil each, but if not, try collecting the materials and asking around for a craft if you can't craft it yourself. Next up is a somewhat time-gated step unfortunately, but a one-time step that can technically be farmed, albeit at a slower rate. The quest, Ether Everywhere, will require you to fill an Ether Well array, which can be done through 4 different roulettes: high-level dungeons, alliance raids, trials, and normal raids. The way it works is that completing one of these roulettes will give you a base amount of points for that node on the array, as well as a daily bonus if it is your first time. The amount given varies based on the duty, but generally if you do one of each roulette per day, you'll take the best part of 3 weeks to complete the full array. This can be reduced by repeating roulettes each day if you have time, and in my experience the Alliance Raid one tended to be the slowest, due to a mix of time taken per roulette, and the lower level ones only giving around 300 to 400 points. In the description I'll link to a Google Doc that shows the general points given per duty if you want to see the exact values. One thing worth mentioning is that you do not have to be on the job you are trying to collect a relic for, nor do you need to be on a level 100 job. You can treat the roulettes like you are doing them normally. However, remember you will need to be on a level 100 job if you want to collect mathematic tomes in the meantime. After completing the array, it's time to trade in another 1500 mathematics for your next relic step, and then it's time for another one-time item-based step. The quest time-worn techniques will require you to purchase or craft more items similar to before. The first can again be purchased from Goplu, and the rest again require master recipes for crafters, so either purchase them via the market board or craft them yourself if you can. Finally, the last relic step is from the quest In Pursuit of Perfection. You'll be asked to collect crystal paste, and don't be fooled by the initial 100 that's asked for. The total amount required is 1,200, but this step is very farmable and can be done in a number of ways. It can be done through various roulettes, with levelling being the most popular, through the Pilgrim's Traverse Deep Dungeon, through the Merchant's Tale Variant Dungeon, through the normal or savage versions of the heavyweight tier in the Arcadium raids, or via the Hell on Rails Extreme Fight. It can also be done through regular fates or through the Occult Crescent itself. However, the amount you get is minimal and only from critical engagements, so I don't recommend it for this one. As far as I know, there is no weekly cap on any of these options, so feel free to do what you like to get through this step. After this, you'll be asked for another 1500 tomes, and then you're all caught up for the relic. Just as a note, you'll be asked for a whopping 4,500 tomes for each new relic you bring to the current step, 1500 for each of the tome steps, but the rest of the steps are completed forever. Now let's go over the usual rotation within Occult Crescent and the jobs you can find within. Firstly, you don't have to complete any relic step to access everything inside the zone, and the only benefit to doing so is that it will progress your relic for various steps. Initially you will be given Phantom Knight, Bard and Monk, but there are currently 16 jobs in total that you can unlock, including Freelancer. For normal gameplay, it really doesn't matter which jobs you choose to level up, so pick what sounds fun to you. The rest of the jobs can be unlocked through playing in the South Horn, with these 3 being unlocked from a random drop from specific critical engagements, these 5 being purchased using 1,000 Enlightenment silver pieces each, and these 4 being purchased with 1,600 Enlightenment gold pieces. Each job has multiple abilities, and the levels for each go up to 6. Once you pick a job to go with, the main gameplay loop will simply involve heading to the fates and critical engagements that spawn, usually non-stop during your time inside the instance. When a critical engagement spawns, you'll have about 3 minutes to get to it, and as long as you're inside the circle you'll be pulled in. Once you get used to this, you'll notice that each job will require increasing XP per level, up to about 16,000 on average per job to reach the max level. While completing fights, you'll receive the silver coins, letting you purchase more jobs and eventually the Occult Crescent armor from the vendor. In terms of efficiency, you receive 1/3 of the XP from a fate than you get from a critical engagement, and depending on the critical engagement you can actually outpace it by continuing fates. Some critical engagements, such as the Company of Stone one, are kind of on set timers, as they are forced to do several mechanics in a row before being able to be completed. The difference isn't significant enough to be considered all the time, but just remember which critical engagement seems slow, and judge if you think you should go for it or not. Additionally, they recently improved the challenge logs for Occult Crescent, greatly increasing the amount of Phantom XP you get when completing them. 2 of these are simply completing fates and critical engagements, so keep an eye on when the log is almost complete to collect the XP on the Phantom job you want. When you have enough coins, I recommend purchasing the South Horn riding map to increase your mount speed, helping you get to fates quicker as they tend to die very quickly. Following this and purchasing the various jobs, saving up for the gear is probably the next best thing. Each piece costs 4,000 silver, and has a unique buff when used inside the Occult Crescent. Simply called Special Attribute, it increases your Phantom job damage by 1% per attribute. As well as this, it gives you a small buff to your main stat, giving another flat damage increase. There are ways that you can improve the stats on your armor, which involves the various coffers that spawn around the zone, as well as the silver and gold pieces. The first upgrade stage requires both types of coins, requiring the purchase of Ether Spun Silver and Ethereal Fixative. After collecting enough, speak to the Expedition Armourer to trade them in for an upgraded armor piece. At some point while you're travelling, you'll see these chests appear around that you can open for a small amount of loot. They can contain a multitude of minions, mounts, emotes, hairstyles and fortune carrots, but the item you're looking for is Ether Spun Gold. This is required for the second upgrade of the armour, and the other part can only be obtained if you plan to head into the raid zone within the South or North Horn, the Forked Tower. Once you reach knowledge level 20 and complete the Past and Crescent quest within the South Horn, which requires the Calamity-bound critical engagement found here, you'll be able to access the Forked Tower Blood. This version is a tricky raid that requires coordination, as well as up to 48 people, and gives various rewards exclusive to the tower. Sanguinite, the currency dropped from inside, could be used to upgrade the occult armor to its max level alongside Etherspun Gold. One thing worth noting is that you only have to complete the first boss in order to access Sanguinite, meaning that you do not have to fully complete the raid if you want to max out your armor. However, while it is the intended endgame of the zone, it is not required for the North Horn, nor will it be required to enter the second Forked Tower, Magic. If you're interested in entering the tower at some point though, the following phantom jobs are required in some capacity to complete it: Bard, Geomancer, Thief, Time Mage, and Berserker. Each of these have a unique interaction inside the tower that is required to complete it. In terms of recommended jobs that are not explicitly required, these are as follows: Knight for tanks, Chemist, Cannoneer, Ranger, Dancer, and Mystic Knight. Lastly, Phantom Samurai is the most popular job for those who do not have a specific role to fill, as it outputs a lot of damage with its abilities. Well, that seems like a real handful. Leveling any of these jobs is a good start if you want to enter the tower, and many players will be able to adjust. As a priority if you're progressing the tower, Chemist or Samurai will be the best two to level up first as the two generic jobs, one for resurrecting and the other for damage. This being a large-scale raid within Final Fantasy XIV, the usual way to find a group for these is via Discord servers that organise runs. With Northhorn releasing soon, however, you may have to wait a while to find a group for the Forked Tower Blood, as many will instead be progressing through the second Forked Tower. Lastly, here's a few tips to remember if you want to have the easiest time in Northhorn next week. First of all, whenever you reach the max level on a Phantom job, you'll receive a buff called Phantom Mastery. This is a permanent damage buff of about 2% and stacks with the amount of jobs mastered. With the max currently at 15, you can get a flat 30% damage buff if you manage to max them all, but even having a few will make a difference. Secondly, the Northhorn will likely have its own riding map, and they'll likely add a new type of coin to collect while there, so remember to save up for it to get around faster. Regarding the second Forked Tower, this time they're adding a version that can allegedly be even completed solo, made to be easier than the coordinated version. This likely means it will either not require any specific Phantom job, or it will allow you to switch jobs inside, unlike the Forked Tower Blood, so don't be afraid to give it a go once you reach the next knowledge level cap. For Phantom jobs, 8 more are being added with the new zone, giving a lot more possibilities as well as likely requiring some of them for the harder tower. If you're in the zone on day 1, remember to keep an eye out for critical engagements that might have a chance of dropping a soul shard for them, and look at the vendor for ones purchasable with coins. For the relic side, be prepared for another one-time step, likely another grindy one as it's the final patch for the relics, as well as having enough mathematics tomes to purchase your completed relic. And remember you have a lot of time to do so before Evercold in January. I hope this guide was helpful for those wanting to get into Occult Crescent, or for anyone just hoping to catch their relic up before the patch. Again, remember that the two sides are reasonably separate, and as long as you reach the max level inside the instance, you should be able to access the Northhorn no problem, or vice versa complete the relic without having to enter Northhorn. If you have anything helpful that I missed, leave a comment below for others. Thanks for watching everyone, and have fun with the patch next week. I feel like I've forgotten something. There are ways that you can improve the stats on your armor, which involves the various coffers that spawn around the zone, as well as the silver and gold pieces. Hi, it's Future Hash here, coming to tell you that after writing and mostly editing this, I realised I completely forgot to mention how to actually get gold coins, and the video didn't really have a spot to put it in, so it's slapped here at the end. To earn the gold coins within the duty, there's one of two main ways. A direct farm method usually involves a full party, mostly of tanks using the Cannoneer Phantom job, which heads to the Colosseum area in the southwest section of the map. If looking to farm gold, simply try typing LFG Gold Farm in the shout chat to see if anyone is doing so, and if you want to start a party, type LFM Gold Farm. The second method is more passive and more competitive. Fates will spawn approximately every 30 minutes that look a little different and involve magic pots. Completing the fate gives you a chance to have a magic pot follow you, and you can feed it an elixir via the duty menu to have it take you to a location. Once you find the location via hot and cold mechanics, a treasure chest will appear. These chests are guaranteed to have a chunk of gold and increase based on the chest quality. Bronze gives 160 gold coins, silver gives 480, and gold chests give 1600 gold coins. These can be a great way to slow farm your currency if you're leveling jobs. Be aware that the pots do not follow all players in the fate and are basically luck based. And with that, you now know how to earn gold coins, so use them well and grab those jobs. Thanks again for watching, Future Hash out.